Welcome back. You're watching News X. My name is Vineet. The United Arab Emirates has rolled out a new nomination-based golden visa system, a sharp pivot from the current model that demanded hefty investments in property or business. And under the new policy, Indians and citizens of Bangladesh can gain access to the visa by simply paying a fee of 100,000 dirham, which is roughly 23 lakh rupees. Previously, those seeking long-term UAE residency had to invest a minimum of 2 million dirhams, which is approximately 4.6 crore rupees in property. Selected individuals can be nominated and apply directly through the newly introduced program, with over 5,000 Indians expected to apply in the first 3 months. According to sources involved in the rollout, India and Bangladesh have been chosen for the pilot phase, with the Rayad Group, a UAE-based consultancy, leading the implementation in India. What does this entail for India-UAE ties, and what are the details of the rollout? Remain the big questions of the moment, but we will discuss them any which way. Joining us on the program is Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya, President of the CDEPR, Ms. Joyita Basu, Editor of the Sunday Guardian, with us on the program as well, Mr. Adit Kothari, International Affairs Expert, on the program as well. Last but not the least, Shruti Dasgupta, Foreign Affairs Expert, with us on the show as well. Shruti, I'll begin with you. Well, it's the first question that comes to my mind is, how do you go from 4.6 crores, rather 4.66 crores to 23 lakhs, but the deal remains the same? What are the Emirates trying to do at this point in time? We all know that they're running out of oil. It's the economy that's going to bring them the money. It's the tourism that's going to bring them the money. And of course, realizing India's proximity, also realizing India's heft when it comes to technology and population, this seems to be the first pit stop. What do you think?
Well, the answer is in your question itself, Vineet. Thank you for inviting me. It's very obvious. This is an attempt to drain wealth and drain talent from India. And without investment, a lot of people will be attracted to a program like this. Other countries have similar golden visa programs, but they all require, like the earlier 10-year residency program of UAE, they required a significant investment in the real estate of the nation they wanted to be a resident of. But now, taking away that caveat, they have opened the floodgates for talents of India. So they are inviting creators, they're inviting YouTubers, teachers, professors, scientists, anybody who has just the basic put up money available. One of the family can apply, and the entire family can flow from India to UAE and then start working there. Everybody over there can seek education as well as other employment opportunities. So to me, it looks like a very significant approach towards draining more usable talent from India towards UAE and create an ecosystem that will sustain UAE beyond its oil economy and tourist economy. And this is an exact, very pinpoint focus. It is looking good right now for everybody, but please note, this is a policy subject to change. It is not a citizenship that they're granting you. They're granting you lifetime residency. If the policy changes, depending on their requirements, these very same people can be asked to come back to India. So it is not a permanent move that people get so excited about. It is a very nuanced approach towards draining what is of value of India and what the world values in India today. Vineet.
Joyita Basu with us in the studio. Joyita, what do you make of this offer by the UAE? And is this likely to have takers who are looking for greener pastures in a country like the UAE? Of course, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to technology and facilities, the UAE is definitely on top of a number of contenders, which of course includes Singapore, Hong Kong, and some of the European countries and the American cities. But the fact of the matter is that it is cheap labor because of which the UAE has thrived.
Well, frankly, if you ask me, and I am certain many of these people who are who want to move to UAE and all are not going to like it. But
why do you say that?
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that go and teach your children textbooks that have nasty things to say about Hinduism. It's very much there, by the way. I mean, awful things are said about Hindus. That part has not been this thing, and there are Indian teachers who are teaching all these things, by the way. I mean, shows the lack of self-respect that you have that you think, I mean, this is the problem, I would say, with Indians, that the minute we cross Indian shores, we think that we are superior to our country. And you see, because of which we are willing to sacrifice our self respect, and we are willing to sacrifice our country's interest, and we will just go there and become second class citizens. Of course, if you go to UAE, all of us have been to the Gulf, we have seen other countries. In all these countries, they will value the white skinned Westerner much, and they will place them on a much higher pedestal than any Indian. However well established that Indian may be, or if that person is an employee of any company and not owning a business, that is a different class altogether. If you are a white collar employee, you will always be staying inside and within your Indian community friends. You will always be living in those high rises where the Arabs will have their own bungalows and all. So, you see, you do not interact beyond a point. Even wherever you are going, if you are going for a conference, all the Indians tend to stay together, stick together, talk to each other, and think, oh my God, and then post nice photos of their cars on Facebook or Instagram and all. So, frankly, I mean, if the people for 23 lakh rupees or whatever, they want to go there and become second class citizens, or face the kind of restrictions that people face over there during times of Islamic festivals. Let us face it, during the time of Ramadan, if you try to even smoke and see what happens, if you want to be like that, where you do not get to speak, whatever, there are so many restrictions over there. Be happy, be a second class citizen over there, and please, I think, let us not talk about the lure of Dubai or UAE in general. I mean, frankly, I see zero value in such golden visas.
Do you think that's why the cost has come down from 4.6 crores to 23 lakhs?
Well, I think India offers much more opportunities than UAE ever can. Think of the capacity to absorb. These are tiny little emirates. I mean, I have been there, and there are lovely people over there, no doubt about it. And I am not even talking about the Indians there, I am talking about Arabs. They are very nice people over there. But the fact of the matter is that what is their capacity? How much can they absorb? And think of our population. Well, at the most, what you can do is that maybe, I think there are already 33% Indians over there right now. So, you see, I mean, when the discussion comes down to whether Indian Hindu labor is better than Pakistani Muslim labor, okay, sorry, I have a problem when my country people decide that we are going to migrate to that country in droves. And no offense meant to the people over there, but that is there are all kinds of people over there, all kinds of people, and you are never treated like an equal, and you are never treated the way a white person is treated, which is in a far superior manner.
Okay, so Dr. Bhattacharya, how would you weigh in on this? Joyita is obviously of the opposite opinion, that it is not worthwhile. It is perhaps a lure, which is a fancy word for a trap. More opportunities are there in India. Might as well invest this 23 lakhs in India. I can't hear you, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, go on.
As I was saying that I think Joyita made some valid points, and it's a free world, so it's for the individuals to decide what they want. They will take decisions based on their current circumstances, and therefore they will optimize it from their perspective. This is one more pathway for improving their own lives. Some people may go for it, some people won't. But I think from an Indian perspective, the challenge, or from an India perspective, the challenge really is that the way I look at it is the fact that UAE offers a tax-free income. And therefore, it's a great route to actually beat the taxation system in India. If along with this residency program, you also become tax resident in UAE, I think that will be one of the critical issues I would expect the Ministry of Finance to sit up and notice, because that's where the drain will come from. So people who are investing 23 lakhs, it's not just to get another job, but to ensure that the money that they have, which could be ill-gotten wealth, is now recycled in a manner where they don't need to pay taxes anywhere and becomes acceptable money. So that's one of the big issues. The other part of it also is that given that it's comparatively speaking very little money in that sense, you don't need to put 4.5 crores, you just need to put 23 lakhs. It opens up other opportunities. For example, people who'd like to have easier access to the MENA market, which is the Middle East and North Africa market. Dubai becomes a great place to work out of. So you can have two offices, one in India, or it could be Mumbai, could be in Delhi, and the second one in Dubai, and not bother about getting a visa every single time. So the ease of business really becomes much better through this kind of a visa system. It leads to greater economic integration. And as we have seen, country after country on a bilateral basis, is the invisibles which is having more trade than the actual goods trade. And therefore, the flow in terms of students, in terms of services, in terms of repatriations, those flows are much bigger, and even tourism for that matter. So those flows are much bigger than the goods flows. And therefore, this kind of a visa system would lead to a significant increase in the flows. And it'll happen both ways, because people who go to Dubai will also have repatriation happening. The business folks will have a larger business because they can have a greater ease of doing business with the region I just talked about, which is popularly called the MENA region. And also, the one more angle to it is the fact that we may see draining out of investments into the real estate in India and having that money getting into Dubai, because the return on the properties in Dubai is higher than the return on properties in India. And if you tie it up with the fact that Dubai is easy in terms of cryptos, we see a lot of black money flowing into Dubai through this kind of a route. So you'll have part of the money being paid through formal channels, having residency in UAE, and part of the money flowing through other mechanisms such as crypto, given that UAE is very crypto friendly. I see a lot of money flowing out of India into Dubai from the property market perspective. There's also an impact on immigration, impact on talent mobility, but those are possibly good because we've got enough talent. A little bit going to UAE, it's a tiny country, as was mentioned by Joyita. It wouldn't really harm us. It'll actually help us. But the largest impact is in terms of the impact on our real estate and the fact that there'll be actual people moving in and try to take the tax benefits. Those will be serious issues that we need to look at.
All right, fair enough. Adit, the real estate market in the UAE is booming. We all surf social media. We all get to see these mammoth ads that builders, some of them Indian and some of them from Dubai, happen to put out on a daily basis. So this lure and attraction to gravitate towards UAE is enormous. The PR that they're doing at this point in time to get takers that will boost their economy is enormous. But the question is in the statement that I made before this: is this PR?
I would concur with that motion. I think it's more PR because if you look at the data over the last 3 years, the net migration from India in 2024 was roughly about 4,300, which dipped from the prior year, which was 5,100, which dipped further from prior year in 2022, which was 7,500. So the golden visa has existed for the last couple of years, but despite that, the net migration flow from India has dipped constantly. So the way I see it is, it's I would concur with Shruti on this, where it's a focus to try and get more sort of digital nomads, people who work within services, and people who have access to that kind of 25 lakh kind of wealth, where they can invest into a visa which can grant them not only visas for themselves but also for their families, and they can then move to Dubai, in the lieu to find, a better life for themselves and their family, cleaner air, better education, more premium healthcare is one of those issues. I personally don't see that we should be seeing this as a flight of capital out of the country because of the sheer amount of policies that are in place which restrict the outflow of capital from India. Yes, I do agree with Dr. Bhattacharya when he says that, they can find loopholes, they can design funds to leave India in a certain way, route it through Hong Kong or elsewhere into Dubai, and then they can invest into property markets. But that is going to be a very minuscule number in the grand scheme of things. I don't see this as a massive outflow of capital from the country as such. Predominantly, we need to understand why is Dubai, or the Emirates predominantly doing this, is because they are looking to reduce their dependency on oil income and increase their ability to be more versatile in other spheres. And for Indians, it becomes very good, specifically because you have access to the African markets and the European markets at the same time. Time zone becomes quite critical as well. For traders and for people who are looking at selling or exporting to both Africa and Europe. The MENA countries and Europe. Generally, Dubai becomes a really good hotspot from that perspective, especially because of their duty regime and the ease of doing business. So all of those things compounded together, it becomes very attractive. The question is, whether there's going to be enough takers for that in India or not. Capital outflow is not going to be much. The question only remains whether or not, you have the middle income group, looking at this and saying, this is what I want for the future of my family, Vineet.
All right. And Shruti, let's also in fact focus on some positives here as well. There would be a lot of takers, a lot of families, a lot of aspirants, who may feel that they're better placed, making a earning or living their lives and contributing to the UAE economy, and in fact contributing to the FDI as well while working out of UAE. That is something that of course cannot be ruled out. It's been happening for decades now.
You're absolutely correct. Indians settling abroad and then bringing in investment to the nation that they belonged to is a very normal consequence of global economics. So it is not something that should be surprising us if that happens. But the fact is that the price is almost less than 10% also. It is very, that is the shocking part of it for me. And beyond it, it is going to move entire households, not just one individual, but entire households away from India. So that is a worrying part for me. But the positive part is for the people who do plan this, they will have access to a larger system in place via the Middle East. Middle East is always hot for trade. With the coming geopolitics that has been happening under the various wars, followed by the trade tariffs, etc., we can see that Middle East would be central to India's path to global dominance in economic markets. And if we have strategic assets placed there via this golden visa pilot program, we might have a direct tap into those resources, and it will help in the flow of growth in our the India Middle East corridor, as well as the other projects that the Indian government wants support on. So these particular assets that we can develop through this golden visa of course stays, but the point of concern is of course that it's a pilot program. One, it is subject to policy change of the UAC. Two, and third is that it is targeting younger groups. When you put in YouTubers as well as content creators, you're targeting a very young group which can take away, not for now but for a very long time. It's like an extended flow of income can flow out from India, and that is a worrying part, because the charm of the Middle East stays, but as Joyita ma'am pointed out, that actually living there is a different reality which they don't realize. They might feel that okay, a Fortuner in India costs 50 lakhs, and if I go to UAE and I buy it for 30 lakhs, I've already saved up on the entire 20 lakhs that I paid to UAE to be here. So that kind of economics is very attractive to people, but the end goal is that you will not be a second class citizen, you will be a third class. The second class are the whites, whom they kind of favor. The first class is always the Arabs, and their own personal interest always comes first. The whites are their next best buddies, and Indians and the browns are tolerated depending on how they have behaved. The Hindu community is strong there, and and we can see that they have been trying that a new mandir was inaugurated by PM Modi last year. So there have been overtures by the government itself to attract India as a culture. So we might find a middle path somewhere where there will be small, more than just like isolated ghettos of Indian origin people living there, but a larger section of Indians flourishing there.
Okay.
But we need to control who it is that actually gets access to these golden
All right,
visas.
we've run out of time. We'll take concluding thoughts from the remainder of our guests. Joyita, of course, UAE, better UAE than Canada.
Well, Canada is different. I mean, it's a Khalistani hellhole. So let's not talk about Canada. And the thing is that, but what happens, you see, many of these Indians who are based in UAE, who function out of UAE, what they do, they save money and then they send their children to study in the US or Canada, as you are talking about. So actually UAE is not their main goal. The UAE part they go to primarily to save money and nothing more than that. Now, when you are looking at UAE, what they are hoping to replicate is maybe a Silicon Valley, maybe a Bangalore over there. But the thing is, you see, if you do not have local talent, or you cannot possibly build something like this totally dependent on foreign talent. And when it comes to startups and when it comes to IT hubs and all that, India is offering much more opportunities to people here. So I would say just for some extra money, and I think of course a lot of extra money, of course, when it comes to, it's perhaps better to stay in India and build, because unless and until you are being able to go and work in Silicon Valley, the original one, why would you go to some sort of an imitation project that is going to be built in the UAE, if at all. All right. So it is better to be in India, but of course we have to say in terms of our governance, our government, I think it needs to ease our policies to an extent that living standards here become better. The taxes, so much taxes that we are paying, that we do not have to pay, because ultimately infrastructure is built better. But perhaps it's, I don't know, I am totally against any sort of going and living in another country. I am totally opposed to the idea. So I don't see the charm of it, frankly. And then as she also mentioned, my previous panelist, go there and become not even second, third class citizen. I was thinking at least second class citizen. So you see, sorry, I think it's a bad idea for Indians who are even considering this.
All right, okay. Quick closing comments from Dr. Bhattacharya and Adit, and then we wrap up. Mr. Bhattacharya? Can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Right. No, I was saying that we need to be careful about what's the target population in India. There are a whole bunch of people who would like to go on a weekend to Dubai and have a party or just do shopping and come back. And that's part of the lifestyle. They're ultra high net worth individuals. For them, it's very convenient to have this visa. There's also a whole bunch of business people who need this visa. So it's not just about workers going there, because anyways, they can't afford it. So this 23 lakh is kind of a gatekeeper, that those who have the ability to put that 23 lakh is an automatic filter, and Dubai will get their set of people that they need, who will also put up a little house there, will furnish it, and all of that is money coming in. So if 5,000 people pay 23 lakh rupees, it's $150 million that Dubai gets directly, and on top of it, all the shopping, the investments, the hotel, and so on and so forth is free money flowing into Dubai. So it's a great thing for Dubai. I don't see much negative from an India perspective. It's greater integration. And we do need to keep in mind that 89% of UAE population are immigrants. So the population which is really fearful is the domestic population. Only 11% is managing 89% of the population. So they will never give a citizenship to the immigrants. Otherwise, they will become the minorities in their own country. And I think that's something we should respect.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Adit, quickly, 10 seconds, please.
produce far greater number of high net worth individuals, then it actually loses to emigration. So I think that should be the focal area, that we need to ensure that our policies are such that we discourage people from leaving India and continue to retain them as a consequence. At this point, taxation becomes one of those policies I don't think has been focused largely by the finance ministry. I think that is something for the finance minister
All right, fair
to basically look into.
Appreciate everybody who joined us. We have unfortunately run out of time. We're going to take a short break now on that note. More news and updates on the other side.